Namaste. What's up? All right, so this next video is another older one. It is pretty much an overview that I gave around 6 years ago. Okay. Um, I think uh, I've been putting out videos for a minute by the time I came around to this subject of hoodoo. Now, as you know, they call hoodoo African American Magica, which translates to melanated people's folk magic. It's the magic of the folks. Okay. I mean, now these days you can see everybody, practicing it, um, naming Facebook groups after it. You know what I mean? But here I just give an overview of hoodoo from my perspective. Okay. If I had to name a religion that I follow, it would be hoodoo. Okay. Remember, hoodoo came out of pain, it came out of struggle. All right. It didn't just birth from like nothing at all. Okay. There's a reason hoodoo came into being. All right. And I tell a lot of people, to make hoodoo work, just my opinion, to make it work, you probably have to have some kind of delineation to the ancestors that brought it forth, if you know what I mean. Okay. Again, like I said, though, a lot of groups now name their practices hoodoo. Um, Another unpopular opinion is that Wicca came from hoodoo. It is what it is. It is my opinion, but um, whenever I speak about paths that I followed, magical paths, hoodoo is always going to be named. It is one of my favorite paths. Okay, especially what they call the New Orleans brand of hoodoo. Okay, Zora Neale Hurston wrote about it. Then you also have the very expensive hoodoo encyclopedia, which is like, is 5 volumes. They're like 1,000 pages. It costs like $8,500. Okay, that's how much went into making an encyclopedia based on hoodoo. What these editors did was go and interview people down south and their practices, and that's how the hoodoo encyclopedia came into being. So anyway, there's a lot of literature on hoodoo, and I think if you want to go into it, it is a pretty good path to learn, at the very least, for foundations. So with all that being said, here is a basic overview of hoodoo. And of course, I hope you enjoy. Namaste. Welcome and greetings. I am Magick Croix. It's gonna stop a virus. No. This
got y'all listening now. Some witchcraft for that ass. Too late to turn away. Abracadabra and all that good shit. Yo. Hocus pocus got you focused on my rhyme. Simply easy, now I'm eating couch potatoes. My keys to go home.
Dora pause.
While rush to end it all, it feels amazing to have won. I'm not planning to ball, but why not take the chance to stunt? No, I don't need it all, can thank for thing I don't want. Do I worship the sun, or sold my soul for the tongue? Or dead since I was young, or got some voodoo?
Namaste, brothers and sisters. The divine in me greets the divine in you. Welcome to another Magick Croix production brought to you by the Magical Elite Supply Shop. And I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. It's been nice here, and hope you just was able to relax after the work week and just chill and do what you like to do. Today's topic is going to be on hoodoo. That good old Southern hoodoo. A lot of people have come to me and have asked me, you know, Magick Croix, how'd you get started? You know, how should I begin this journey, this tradition? As you all know, I have traveled quite a few occult paths. Goetia, Clip-Off, the ATRs, anything that you can think of, I've probably done it. Kabbalah. It's been a journey for me, and this is actually my 19th year in the occult. I did Wicca for a very long time. I did Wicca for almost 10 years before I got into the so-called darker paths. The only reason they're called darker is because there are own spiritual traditions and they want to put a spin on it, call it dark and evil, where there's no such thing. If you want to start with Wicca, light witchcraft, that's fine, you know. But for those melanated people who are trying to get into this field of study, of journeying the occult path, I highly suggest Hoodoo. Not to be confused with voodoo. There's a difference there. Hoodoo came over, the slaves that came over, brought their traditions from Africa, and that was the beginning of Hoodoo. You can read about Hoodoo also. Zora Neale Hurston has a few books. You can't tell me that this woman is not a Hoodoo practitioner, just from some things that she's written about it. Another book that I would like to suggest is my good friend Denise Alvarado, The Hoodoo Spellwork. I'm not going to go into the origins of Hoodoo because you can research that, and I always tell people, do your own research. Don't listen to what I say, don't listen to what anybody else says. Just start to read, start to research. Do your research. Okay. Another book I also want is a really good one called Voodoo and Hoodoo. Jim Haskins. Like I said, Denise Alvarado has a great book from Creole Hoodoo called The Voodoo Spellwork. Like I said, the origins of Hoodoo is when the slaves came over. They were forbidden to practice their rites under punishment by death. So what happened is they weren't, rich or anything. They had to start using what they had available. And this is where you get the tradition from. They also synchronized it with various other things. But, like I said, Hoodoo is not to be confused with voodoo. Voodoo is a religion. Hoodoo is a spiritual practice. It can be practiced by anybody. It's the so-called African American folk magic practice. I hate that term, African American, but that's another story. It's the magic of the folk magic. So one of the things that they used to do is write their petitions. I'm just going to go into just a little bit of the practices that you can do when you start with Hoodoo. Because, like I said, anyone can do it. You don't have to be initiated into any system. And the things that you do with this practice are very powerful, even though they're simple. They're very simplistic. And I think that's what makes it powerful. And the current is strong because Hoodoo's practiced all over, and it's very powerful. So tap into that. One of the things that the slaves used, they couldn't get a hold of stuff,
But they would use brown paper bags and write their petitions on them. Like so. Brown paper bag. It looks like it's a lunch bag, pretty much. And they would write their petitions on it, and they would dress the bag and do certain stuff with it. You can find these lunch bags anywhere. Any supermarket, any Walmart, real cheap. I keep a supply of this so that when I get, when I want to do some hoodoo, this is what I use. Of course, you have your candles, and I believe I went into this with my basic candle magic, where use candles. Candles are used a whole lot in hoodoo, and what you can do is you can actually write your petitions or whatever saint or loa that you are petitioning on that. And you also use various herbs, and you can use crystals, stones, powders, and not to dress the candle, not the powders to dress the candle. I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's one of the things that's used. The various powders, the various oils. Use the oils to dress the petition paper and also candles. And once again, this is an African-based folk magic. It was synchronized with Catholicism. So in hoodoo, you'll see various saints are petitioned. Why? Why is that? That is because the slaves had to hide their traditions behind the saints. Many of the slaves were forced into Catholicism. So they would take a saint that closely resembled one of the loa of Haitian voodoo, and they would synchronize it, and then they would work their practice that way so that they couldn't be discovered. It was synchronized not just with Catholicism, but there are elements of European witchcraft and Catholicism and Kabbalah. So it's like a smorgasbord of various traditions that's used in hoodoo. Trust me, it works. Another one of the tools that's used in hoodoo is voodoo dolls, which is a form of talismanic magic. Now, a voodoo doll is used or created to house a spirit or a house. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard about the voodoo dolls and how they're used for sympathetic magic. These work. Sometimes the dolls were stuffed with petition paper, powders, and herbs, and it was used to represent a deity or a person. Very powerful magic, very powerful. You also have the Grigri bag, spelled Gris. Gris. I know it looks and it's spelled like it should be saying gris or something like that, but it's called Grigri, like Gree, a Grigri bag. What this is a spell or a charm bag that you can carry on your person, put it on your altar, put it in your bedroom, whatever you need it for. I have one here. Traditionally, a Grigri bag is used. What's used is a red felt bag, a little bag. But I'm just going to show you one. I don't have one available. I didn't bring one with me, but I have a money bag here. It was yellow, but this stays on one of my altars. That sigil that you see is the Sumerian sigil. This stays on one of my altars. This is typically what a Grigri bag is usually red, and it's dressed also. The outsides are dressed with, like this for instance was dressed with a money oil, a money drawing oil. The sigil is created, and I have some herbs, powders, and stones in here. Okay. One more time, I'm going to say this again. Voodoo is a religion. Hoodoo is a spiritual system. Southern black folk magic. Now, also what's used, the Bible itself, for many of you Christians out there, the Bible is used as a talisman. And the use of Psalms is used heavily in Hoodoo. What was I say there? The use of Psalms, and like I said, it's used as a talisman as well. Another one would be like laying tricks. And what I don't mean is sleeping with a prostitute or something like that. That's not what I mean by laying a trick. Laying a trick is like is foot track magic. Like, for instance, this was years ago, a woman was having problems with a neighbor of hers, and she wanted to get her to move. So I said, okay, here's what you do. You get some hot foot powder. And this, you can find this in any botanica, but you can also make your own. And you get the hot foot powder, which is used to clear somebody out from a place. I said you also use some crushed red ants. I know that sounds morbid, but it works. I think the elements of the fire ants is really hot. But one time I made my hot foot powder by using cayenne pepper, red pepper, black pepper, red pepper, and some fire ants. I don't know. That doesn't sound, like a doable thing, but it really is. And you can get this from any botanica, or you make your own. Another element of Hoodoo would be a spiritual bath. You can put oils in your bath, but be careful. I made the mistake of using Van oil and some other kind of oil in my bath, and let's just say various body parts were stinging after that. You got to be careful what you use, but they come ready-made also at any botanica. And but this is just to cleanse your aura. I've already given out that bath before, where you use ammonia, bleach, sea salt, and vinegar, and lemon juice. I gave that bath out before. I do that once every other month. That's just to clean my aura. But like I said, do your research. There are other baths that you can take besides that one, but that's an excellent one to get rid of negativity and get rid of that spiritual sludge that's on you. It works. Every person I've ever given that bath to has had great results from it. It works. Another book, before I get into anything else, is Anna Riva. I'm not sure if this woman's still alive, but her books and her oils, they're all still being sold. Anna Riva created this little tiny book called it's called Witchcraft, Spellcraft, and Hexcraft. And they give a very basic outline on spiritual baths, gemstones, just a couple things just to whet your appetite. It's enough, though, to get that book. It's enough to get you started with the Hoodoo tradition. You also got floor washes, where you can use washes Again, they come ready-made in any Botanica that you wash your floors or mop your floors with these washes to get rid of negativity, to bring in prosperity and abundance. Just spiritual cleansing when you want to, clean your house or bring in things. One of the things that you can do, you can get pine essential oil. You get pine essential oil, put that in mop water, and you can wash your floors with that. That also works very well. Or you get a pine tree. I know that doesn't sound really feasible until it's like Christmas time, but the ancients believed in the pine tree. That's also in the Bible too, about the pine tree. The Sumerians offered up pine and cedar. So, floor washes, another hoodoo tradition. I spoke already about the foot track magic, and let me just tell you that really does work well. I've used it before, and let's just say the person got kind of sick. I'll repeat again that the only magic is actually my last resort to do anything to anybody. So if it comes that I've done something, then you probably did really fucking deserve it. Crossing and uncrossing, jinx removal, all of these are part of the hoodoo spiritual tradition. And when you're crossed up, that's or jinxed, that's when your roads are blocked. And so there are ways that you can unblock and uncross your paths so that abundance and your life can flow smoothly. So that's just a little basic overview of hoodoo. If you want to get into the arts of the occult, I highly suggest hoodoo first, because it's really simple and you don't need a whole lot of ingredients. You don't have to have a whole lot of money. And you start getting your feet wet and you start seeing results. It's going to make you want to learn more. And pretty soon you will start to make up your own spells, which are the most powerful when you make up your own spells. Trust me. Always, always, always write down what you do on the dates that you do it, and keep a magic diary. Write down what you do. When you see results, write that down also. Write everything down. When you dress the candle, or when you laid a track, or when you took a spiritual, anything that you do that's magical or spiritual, then it will do well for you to write that down so that you can go back at a later time and measure your results. I still have books from years ago that I still refer to just to see how long a certain tradition has worked. Before you get started with any magical practice, I do say, start burning hell notes to your ancestors. Petition your ancestors. Petition your ancestors, ones that you know and ones that you don't know. They will start to guide you on things that you're doing. They will start showing you signs, but do acknowledge them. They're waiting for you. As a matter of fact, on my store, I have a lot of hoodoo items that can be used. So let's not forget that good old hoodoo and get into it, and it will start you on a path that you will never regret. You'll have more control of your life than ever. As always, when you buy from my store, www.themagicalelitesupplyshop.com, and you contact me on Facebook, I will invite you to my exclusive magical group on Facebook. It is a secret group. You can't just come in there. Matter of fact, it's invitation only. Only for the serious student, because I got serious stuff in there. I hope you all have a great week. I hope this video will help some people here and get you on the right track if you're a beginner. For those who are advanced, I always say it's always a good practice to go back to the basics. That always works, especially if you feel like you're in a magical slump or things are not working or things to be slowing down. Go back to the basics. Sigil magic, chaos magic, hoodoo, mantras. It's been my pleasure to come to you today. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great week. This is Magick with Croix. I'll see you all next time. Peace.